As you came into the lobby, you tried resetting the elevators, you looked up. If there was an indicator on the bank, at least you knew where the floor was, or at least where the car was. If you didn't, or you didn't have an indicator or something was up, when you come up here, before you shut down the power, and you're looking for the main power, which in this room is here, 1, 2, 3 banks. We did lockout, tag out on 2 and 3. You're gonna look at the controller. The controller's right here. This is like the processor for your computer at home, and this will have different codes. This is another processor that talks about speed, feet per minute, all kinds of different stuff. On the inside, when you get a sec, you're gonna come around and you're gonna see a number right there. It's on L right now, so it's on lobby, so you can tell where the car is by the controller. As soon as you kill the power, this whole box goes out, which is confirmation for us, for safety, that this giant DC motor is not gonna move. And that's what we want. Before anybody picks doors, gets on top of a car, moves elevators, we need the controller power that controls this DC motor shut down and locked out. But just look before, like he said, you can click a picture of that, and a picture of that, and you have no idea what it says, and you can look on the floor. Okay, next to each controller, we have 1, 2, 3 controllers, and they're labeled on the outside. Okay, so someone just called the elevator. Your speed controller's moving, your traction's moving. On the inside, I can see it's on level 2 right now. You guys can swing around and look at the number. It's on the side there, just so you know where it is. This is a modern elevator controller. These are 5 or 6 years old. The older elevator controllers were 3 times as big, and there was a lot of mechanical switches, clicking, making noises. All those switches between the floors.
Where does it say what floor it's at?
Right there on the inside on the right, it's red. It's on 4 right now.
Oh, right here.
They're all a little different, but it should have an indicator for the floor. Okay, and as soon as if I killed power, that whole box will go dead. It just gives me a nice visual. I know I've got no power. On the right side of each controller box, you have the other controller, which is the 110. It should say cab 110 for each elevator band. Okay? The other way they do it is they put it right next to each one or right beneath it, but it'll show 110. It'll say cab, band, lights, interior, maybe a phone in there, but it's all what's in the cab. Okay, so shut it off, lock out, tag out. The components on your motors, you have your speed governor on the right. That's that separate cable that's in the shaft that goes all the way to the bottom, goes around, and gets connected to the elevator. It's just a big loop. If that goes too fast, that's why it's independent of this, those sensors tell it to set the brakes. And when we go down and look under the elevators, I'll show you the brakes. This is your DC traction motor. Your brakes right in front of your motor. These springs hold it back. This smaller motor actuates it. So every time they call it, and the traction chute starts to move, once it gets to where it's going to get to, you'll see this close just like 1/8 of an inch, and it holds it in place. Okay. See it close? Just clamps it and holds it. Doesn't move a lot. We'll talk about drifting in a minute. Like we said, one of these cables is enough to hold the elevator. They do all the cables for overload and for mostly what they call traction, so it doesn't slip at all. There's lots of traction, so the elevators are super smooth. There's another sheave right below it so that the cables stay nice and straight. Super sturdy, super strong. So your traction motor, your speed, your controller. Let's go over here to one. You guys can rotate through here and see this as this moves. Just watch your coattails. You'll hear the controller click on right there for a request. Then you're going to see your speed governor and your traction sheave start to move. See, like right now it's on 10. Somebody just came up.
That's me.
Right on. Okay, over here, guys. Same exact movement. Some of you guys can look at that. Hear it click. You guys see it move? This is going to seem like it's not moving very fast. If you watch the brake drum, it's spinning really fast. Right now that's going 15 to 20 miles an hour, just to give you an indicator. I don't know how fast these elevators go, but there's a feet per second on that controller in there on the right. We'd have to convert it. Somebody can do some math. Again, in that controller on the right, you'll have a floor indicator, controller for the speed, and then the brakes. If you were to drift one of these elevators, we're not going to drift the elevators. You would have lockout, tag out done. You would have somebody with a visual in the voiceway on the elevator. You'd have somebody on the radio in direct communication with them, and you'd have 2 people on Halligan's pushing on the housing and pushing this back. So one you'd push back, it only takes that little 1/8 of an inch, and the other one could be your control. Okay, they'd start to move it, I would get a verbal, whether the car's going up or down. Which way should the cars go most of the time when we release brakes? Up, right? Because it's designed for the overload. If it goes down and they tell me it's going down, there's probably a lot of people in that car, right? There has to be, because it's designed to go up. Questions on the control room? There's not a ton in here. There is smoke sensors and heat sensors in the room. If any of the stuff, just like the floor sensors, gets tripped, they shut it down because you want to protect the controllers, right? The elevators will just stop. What will set the brakes is your speed governor. This sends a signal down, and we'll show you underneath what the brakes look like and how they activate. This room is pretty much the outside. You know who you guys contract with?
Caliber.
Okay, so Caliber Elevator Service is contracted. Those are the ones that maintain this room. This is their baby. That's why it's so immaculate. The maintenance guys aren't going to come in that I know of and mess with these controllers or the traction motors. Does that make sense? That's it. They keep these pretty simple. Any questions? No?
Where did you say, so if you were gonna drift it, where are you placing
If you
tools?
need to drift one of these cars,
Pulling these out.
several things need to take place. We have to make access to the hoistway so we can locate it, so we can have a visual on the car. It's gotta be locked out and tagged out. And then I would like to have 3 people up here. 1 person on the radio with the person who has the visual, and 2 people on Halligan's bars. And what you're attempting to do is this brake setup, compress the springs and move it away from the drum. And as you hear that one operate, if you go watch it, you'll see them, they'll just come in and out an 1/8 of an inch. So when the elevator reaches the floor, they just hold it. So if they're holding it and we want to deactivate it because this is power's off, power's got to be on to hold it up, we'll push one off and use the other one to feather it slowly.
Feather it down.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep.
What else? Good questions. Nothing. Have you guys been in a control room before, a traction control room? Okay. So it's not really new.